Hello everyone and welcome to my creative testing world. I built this lovely beautiful house and I want to show you guys how by rebuilding it block by block so you can follow along. The order in which I'm going to be placing blocks is not how I originally did it, but instead I'll be doing it in a way that's easy to see and easy to follow. Alright, let's get right into it. These are all the blocks you'll need. I didn't count them, so these numbers are totally random. But the most common block is smooth sandstone brick, and you won't need more than 60 of them. I divided the blocks into several sections. Section 1 is just for the walls. Section 2 is for floors, ceilings, and roofs. And the third section is details. We're going to be starting with an inner wall. And the first two blocks we need for that are orange cloth and smooth orange clay. Then we're moving on with orange clay, decorative tropical wood planks, smooth sandstone bricks, normal tropical wood planks, and some yellow clay. And the two lightest blocks we're using are white sandstone brick and smooth white sandstone brick. And as you can see, it's creating this nice gradient. Moving on to one of the side walls, I wanted this one to be the brightest one because it's facing the sun. So not only am I creating a gradient for each wall, but I'm also taking into account where the light source, in this case the sun, is coming from, and putting the lighter blocks at the top and on that side. And you'll be able to see that more as we move on to more of the side walls. When I first build gradients like these, I always feel like the contrast between the blocks is very high and it looks off, but that feeling usually goes away as I finish the building and especially as I add details towards the end. Now we're going to the back of the house, which is the longest wall. So this is 8 blocks plus the one we already have from the side wall. Once again, I'm starting with orange cloth and then adding in some smooth orange clay. I'm just mentioning it again in case you're having a hard time telling them apart, because they really do look very similar. But I try to always go from dark to light, so I'm always starting with orange cloth and then the smooth orange clay. Looking at the back of the building, the gradient is sloping down to the right side because the light is coming from the top right, and so the shadows are casted towards the left. On the left side of this wall, I'm leaving a 3 wide gap because that's where the little balcony will go later. Next, we're building the second side wall, or more accurately, the second and third, because they're going to be on 2 levels. This bottom wall is going to be 9 blocks long. I actually unintentionally lied earlier when I said the back wall was the longest. So once again, you have to build 8 blocks and then you already have the block from the previous wall. This is the darkest side of the house that's facing away from the sun, and so this side will have the most amount of dark blocks. I'm leaving a little hole here for a door, as I did in the first wall we built, but I will go around the build and break some blocks later to insert another door and some windows. And now we're getting to the front, which is probably the most complicated part. After we built up this front wall, we're moving on and adding one more line of blocks in between those two blocks that are sticking out. And now we're just filling in the last wall section, and we're leaving a gap underneath that. I'm gonna fill that in later, but it's not visible from the outside, so I counted it into the next section. Let's move on to the second section, floors and roofs. First, I'm opening up some space in the front so I can fill it up with soil pathway half slabs. I'm doing this on both sides and drawing a line down the side of the building. Unfortunately, I chose kind of a bad angle for this, but you'll see it better in the next shot. But now I'm filling in the entrance to the house with calcite brick half slabs. Here I'm adding in another wall that I forgot about in the first section. And now we're getting to our first roof section. First, I'm filling in the holes in the ceiling, and then I'm placing shallow red sandstone cobble roofs. Jeez, these names are a handful. All along these two lines of blocks. And then I'm placing another row of the flat version of that roof. There is one last component to this roof section, and that is a line of flat aqua cobble roofs, placed one block below the last one. On the inside, I'm replacing all the grass blocks with decorative tropical wood planks. And this house actually has a second floor, for which I'm using white sandstone brick half slabs, both the smooth and the regular version. And then also some smooth sandstone brick half slabs. Moving on to the second roof section, first we fill in the ceiling. And then I'm adding 2 rows of flat red sandstone brick roofs, 1 row of red sandstone brick stairs, 1 row of red sandstone brick half slabs, and then another 2 rows of flat red sandstone brick roofs. Now I'm adding an extra block of each on the left and the right side. And the final component of this roof section is 1 row of flat red sandstone cobble roofs on the front and the back. Now we can finally move on to the detailing stage, and I'm so excited for this because this was the most fun part. First, we're creating 1 large looking door with 2 tavern doors on the left and right side, 1 Quebec door in the middle, and tavern windows on top. You can't see it in this shot, but I'm adding 3 tavern trapdoors above those windows and flipping them downward so they're flat against the wall. Now let's add our first window. In the front of the building, I'm adding some planters and pots. And then I stack these 2 planters on top of each other to kind of look like a trash can. I'm not sure if it's obvious enough, but I added some broken items around it to kind of signify that this is an area where trash is collected. Of course, we need some greens. And now our second window upstairs. This time I'm adding some Quebec trapdoors to look like blinds. And this is my absolute favorite detail. I'm using a smooth calcite brick, an ornate calcite brick, and then a light temple trapdoor on the side to look like an AC unit. I think it turned out so cute. Can't forget some lanterns. And we're moving on to the balcony. The back wall is also getting a little bit of love here. And lastly, I'm going around the house and adding a bunch of wild wisteria leaves. I absolutely adore the leaves in Hytale because they are so big and fluffy. I love that they take up more than 1 block, but you can still place them right next to each other so they overlap a lot. Especially these wisteria leaves. Oh, the actual last step is me adding 2 dark green wall mosses under that window in the front, but then one of them gets covered with a leaf so it doesn't stand out too much. Alright, that's it, that's the build. Here are some final shots. I hope you found this video helpful, or maybe just entertaining, but either way, if you enjoyed watching, please leave a like, and a nice comment would really make my day. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss my other videos. See you in the next one, bye bye!